Well, I was going to do something really dramatic, like whoa, move around and show you the beauty of this machine that belongs to Olivia and belonged to her husband's grandmother. I just say grandmas or grandmas, so it doesn't matter if it was her husband's or her grandmother, grandmas or grandmas, right? But she really is a lovely, lovely singer, 1591. And one of the earliest ones that would have rolled out after this model was introduced in 1932. They started producing them the very end of 1931 and then started marketing them to the public in 1932. And really an innovative machine for its time because it introduced this wondrous potted motor. Now, it wasn't the first singer to have the potted motor. The 101 was the first one to have the potted motor, but it was a slightly different design, and it wasn't quite as powerful as this one. And as you might remember, and I shared this with Olivia when I picked the machine up from her, you might remember that the 1932 was the inception of the 1591, but it wasn't until 1935 that the big brother of this model came on the scene. The big brother of the 1591. Different attributes, different hook system, different setup, but nonetheless, the big brother. And if you remember what machine that is, type it in the live chat. Type it in the live chat so that we can celebrate both of those machines that introduced this wondrous potted system. And people were just in marvel of the power that this machine was able to generate. Yeah. And those of you that don't know, I'm in the Twin Cities right now. It's a temporary thing, and I'm having the opportunity to meet a number of the great Minnesota folks. No, I'm not wearing purple yet. Probably not anytime soon, unless it's on Easter. Then I'll put purple on. Yeah, I will. But it's been great to meet a number of the Minnesota folks. I've had a privilege to meet several of them. I updated my Google listing, showing myself in the Twin Cities, and almost immediately the folks around the Minneapolis, St. Paul area started reaching out and talking about their vintage sewing machines, and I would go out and meet with them in their home and then collect up the machine, kind of like Olivia's 1591. And just people are people, aren't they? I mean, when you're on the other side of the border in Wisconsin and you're all passionate and on fire for the Packers, you know, you get kind of jazzed up a little bit about those weirdos on the other side of the border wearing all the purple. But then you meet those purpley people and you're going, I like these people. They are warm. They are kind. Not the greatest drivers, to be perfectly honest with you. I've had some near misses walking around Minnesota. Couple little quick shuffles and jumps and sometimes a little bit of diving to get away from some of the drivers here. They're in such a big rush. I don't know what it is. I thought it was the holidays, but now the holidays are past. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's something in the air or in the water. You never know. But let's get into a closer look of Olivia's 1591. And I'll tell you straight away, this machine needed a lot of wiring. Power cord. It needed the knee controller rewired as well. And you might be looking at this and going, I don't know a lot about vintage sewing machines. I certainly don't know as much as that Smarty Pants Scott, but I don't see a knee controller. Well, silly, that's because it's back in Olivia's grandmother's table. And all I brought was the ceramic portion to optimize it. There it is over there. Keep zooming, keep zooming, keep zooming, keep zooming, keep zooming, keep zooming, and stop. So when I first got this out of the table, the wiring, as Olivia could attest to, was horrendously scary. And so that's brand new 16 gauge wiring. It's going to give a great pipeline of power through this knee control mechanism thingy whatty collie to power the potted motor on this machine once it's mounted back in the table. And the power cord also needed to be upgraded, so that was upgraded as well. Now, most of you know that the knee control ceramic thing we're looking at right now is pretty much exactly the same thing as the inner core of a standard foot controller. It's just that they remove the plastic shell and then they mount it into a knee control mechanism in the table. So most of you probably already know what this is rated at in relation to this 1591. I trust you probably know. And so if you want to type in the live chat what the amperage tolerance is on a knee control ceramic mechanism like this, go ahead and do that. And you can show what a great student you are and how well you've been paying attention during class. And along with that, you can also try to guess, if you'd like, what kind of motor, what size motor, is inside of Olivia's grandmother's machine. And I believe Olivia's grandmother's name was Chris. So Grandma Chris. And I'll give you a big hint. It's a motor. It's an engine. No. I've talked about the 1591s. I've talked about the other model that I was hinting at, the Big Brother, which is none other than the 201-2. That was introduced again in 1935 and kind of took over for the Class 66 machine that was the seamstresses and the tailors machine of the day from the very, very earliest of the 1900s. And so the Class 201 really kind of stepped in right after this 1591 and said, you've done a great job, Class 66. I hope you enjoy your retirement, spend some time on the beaches, you know, all that sort of thing. Enjoy your retirement, your golden years. And then the Class 201 kind of took over. But the 201-2 and the 1591 are going to have one of two motors. So again, live chat, type it, put down what you think those motors are. And then I'll tell you what is in Olivia's grandmother's machine. And we should also look up the serial number, don't you think? Yeah, we should look up the serial number for sure. And so I've got to look around for the paper that has the information on it somewhere. No idea what I did with it. So let's just go down by the machine and look at the serial plate itself, which is much, much easier to read now that I have polished it up and given it some pizzazz and some clarity. Also cleaned the machine up a little bit as well. It really, really needed it. But still some polishing to do for sure. So we can see the letter prefix on this machine is going to be AD, Apple David, or Alpha David, however you'd like to say it. And then the numbers are, let me try it from this side, maybe I'll have more success. The numbers are 540209. I can see I still missed a little bit of that varnish lacquer on there, didn't I? I'll have to touch that up a little bit again. But AD 540209. AD 540209. So type that into the live chat if one of y'all would do that. And then we will find out the birth date of this fabulous 1591. Again, one of the first in the series after it was introduced in 1932. I'll give you that big honker of a hint. Yeah, I will. Give you that hint, and then you can see if you can look her up and give that birth date, give the production group size, etc., like we always do. So why don't we, without further ado, I'll put on a little bit of music. We'll kind of zoom in on the needle area of this little brother to the 201-2. And we'll see if we can do some stitching with this great machine. I should also, before I do that, I should also show you a couple of other things on the machine. So zoom back out, Scott. There you go. Pretty anxious to zoom there. You're zoomy, huh, buddy? All right, put on a little bit of music and we'll kind of walk around Olivia's grandmother's machine just a wee bit. Kind of check her out. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's check her out. All right. Well, that song you just heard, if you wanted to know, if you were just pining to want to know what that song was, it was called Final Girl. Final Girl. I have no idea what that implies. I don't think that that gender is going anywhere. But now we're going to put on Science Mortgage. Science Mortgage. We'll see what we think of that. So let's walk around this 1591. I want to show you a couple of things. But I think first of all, why don't we just start by, I've already got a bobbin wound, obviously. Maybe we can wind another one, kind of show you how that works, huh? Let's go right about there. You look at that beautiful badge mark right here that I polished up. It's one of the things I do in my servicing of machines that a lot, well, I should say pretty much none of the sewing vacs and none of the sewing service centers do any cleanup on the machine at all. This one was real chalky and filthy and dirty, and the chromium parts and the badge mark and the serial plate were just so cruddy you could barely even see any of the definition. Not anymore. Now she's quite lovely. Probably use a little bit more polish, but that'll come. That'll come. So let me grab some more thread. See if we can get this spinning up. And I did post a reel on Facebook to show a little bit of the bobbin winding, but we'll do it one more time. That way I'll have a 15 class bobbin all wound for the next class 15 machine I get. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get our thread into position and we'll fire this up. And also disengage the clutch. And all of you might approach this a little bit differently as far as pre-threading the bobbin a little bit. Some of you might even thread through the side. I don't recommend that, especially on these, because it'll create a little bit of a catch and drag. But I've got my own method to the madness, and we'll see how that works out. So I've already disengaged the clutch by turning it towards me, holding the balance wheel, turning it towards you. Now we've done a little bit of a pre-wind on the bobbin itself. And we've got the spool in place. We've got the tensioner threaded with the thread as well. So now we're going to go ahead and gauge it, kind of move it down into position. And when it comes to bobbin winding, you might encounter a couple of small challenges. I'll just pause the music for a moment and talk about those small challenges. One of the things you might run into is if you buy aftermarket class 15 bobbins, you might have difficulty mounting it onto this bobbin winding assembly. The inner diameter is going to be a little bit smaller on some of the aftermarkets, and you won't be able to slide it all the way in so that you can lower this into position to activate the bobbin winder, and you won't be able to get it adjacent to that pin that's part of the assembly as well, so that this doesn't spin but it has good traction. The other thing you might encounter as well is you might encounter issues with the thread not distributing evenly on the bobbin. I've talked about this before. This is your tensioner down here. I'm looking at my finger to see if we can see it. I think it's off camera just a little bit. Let's come out a little bit wider. There we go. So this is our tensioner right here. This is going to help us to regulate the distribution of that thread when we're winding the bobbin. If we start to wind the bobbin and we notice that there's a heavier concentration on the left, then we're going to loosen this screw and we're going to slide this just a little bit to the right. Conversely, if we're winding the bobbin and we notice it's concentrating more heavily on the right, then we're going to loosen this screw and we're going to slide this just a little bit to the left so that it can even out the distribution of that thread. It really is critical that you get the bobbin evenly wound so that it will operate properly in the bobbin case. Otherwise, you'll have issues with thread feed, some snagging, some binding, and probably even some breaking thread as well. So that taking that extra little bit of time to make sure you're getting that even distribution is critical. The only other thing you might run into is there's an adjusting screw right here. right on the side. And you might find when you engage your bobbin winder that it's not making good contact with the rim of that balance wheel. If that's the case, you can loosen that screw and then slowly adjust this in and out until you get good traction. But you don't want too much traction, because too much traction is going to create excessive drag on the rim of that balance wheel, and it's going to, number one, it's going to take you forever to wind a bobbin. Number two, it's going to create a lot of stress on that motor in the back with all of that excessive drag. So get a sweet spot where it's getting good traction, and then periodically, as I've talked about before, put a little dab of rubbing alcohol on a Q-tip swab and go ahead and just gently swab over. You don't want it dripping wet, just damp. Just swab over this bobbin winding tire, get all the dirt, the grime, and other things that will collect on there, get that cleaned off, and then also place it against that rim with the wheel not in contact, and go ahead and spin the machine up and clean that rim as well with your Q-tip swab. You'll be shocked how filthy these two get, because it's in proximity to that motor. Motors act like a vacuum. They suck all the dirt in from the environment in your sewing sweet space, and they end up sticking to these surfaces. So you got to keep this clean. You got to keep that rim clean so you can wind a bobbin evenly and you're not spinning your wheels and getting frustrated, right? Yeah, let's not get frustrated. That's one of our new resolutions in the new year, is don't get frustrated, right? Let's not get frustrated. So we'll go ahead and get her going just a little bit and see if we can wind this bobbin, and you can get an appreciation for kind of how that's done on this particular model. Get that into place a little bit. All right, and we're getting it pretty even. I'm going to get that thread pushed down, that little remnant there, and then we should be going back and forth nicely. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see this bobbin winder working, and you can get a good idea of what it should look like if it's working well. Let's see, we'll come up here by the bobbin. I think that's focused, hopefully, pretty well. Yeah. All right, we'll give her a little run here, and you can watch that thread being distributed on this 1591 class 15 bobbin, I should say. Yeah. And it should automatically disengage when we get to the end. They're not 100% guaranteed, but generally they do a pretty good job of disengaging when they get to the end. Yeah. So you've got a little view of that, and you can, what I do as well when I'm winding on a machine like this, I'll come out a little bit, is I hold that spool of thread. Where am I? There we go. I hold that spool of thread in place as well so that it doesn't hop off of that pin. It's a pretty tall pin, but if you get that puppy really racing in the bobbin winding process, that thing can kind of hop off of there, and then you're chasing your spool of thread. So I just put a gentle finger on top and then just get her going like that. I'm getting real close to that full point. And there we go. So we've got a nice full bobbin. And I've talked about this in other premieres, live streams. If you are one of these people that you say, that's a good looking bobbin, it's wound well, it's wound evenly, but I'd like to have it a little bit fuller. You can cheat. You can re-engage this a little bit and just kind of hold this down, and you should be able to get a little bit more distance of winding by pushing your finger on there. You just don't want to go crazy full, because then you'll have issues with it feeding. So I filled it a little bit more. We're going to take it off now, and I'll just set this to the side as a backup bobbin if we find that we're getting real low during this this premiere. Yeah. Well, hopefully those tips are helpful that I gave you, just as far as some of the adjustments you might have to make when you wind a bobbin. It might be the tensioner, you've got to move left or right. It might be the mechanism itself is not making good contact, or it's making excessive contact with the balance wheel rim. Then you've got to adjust that out a little bit. And you know, just a variety of other things. You've got to get that bobbin winding process right. It really is kind of your beginning benchmark process, and it's going to set you up for success from the very beginning. So, you know what else I should cover real quick before I forget about it? Let me come off the tripod one more time, and let's look at the threading of this 1591, which is a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky compared to some of the other Class 15s. And if you didn't know it, there's probably about 30 plus flavors of Singer Class 15 machines. Probably just around 30 plus. Oh, I got to re-engage that clutch again. There we go. Get that over there. Perfect. Yeah, there's about 30 different flavors, and if you're curious what they all are, you can look them up on ISMAC. In one of the recent premieres live streams, we gave you a link to the ISMAC class breakout of all of the Singer machines that were made. And it'll give you a real appreciation for what a popular class this was and how many different variations of this class that there were. And I don't have that opened up on the computer right now, otherwise I would go into that for you and cover that by model. But I've done that in other live streams and premieres, and I don't think I need to do it in this one. So we're coming off the top. There's our spool of thread. We're coming through a thread guide right up here as a starting point. And then we're dropping straight down. And whenever you're threading, make sure that your take-up arm is in the up position, right? So that there's no pressure on those discs. We're going to come off the top again from that thread guide right here. That one right there. We're going to come straight down and around the back side of these tension discs like that. You're going to draw that thread nice and deep in there. And then once you've done that, you'll bring the thread over the top to this thread point on the upper tension right here. I'm going to zoom in on it as best as I can. You see that little thread point right there where the thread is coming over the top of it? Right there. Right there. So you come around the back of these discs, and then you come over the top of that thread point right there. You drop down to the take-up spring. You bring the thread through there. Then you come up here. Isn't that little fine little crisscross matrix right there, isn't it? You come up to the take-up arm, and you thread the take-up arm from left to right. Then you follow it down to this thread guide on the face plate on the right side. You drop down to this thread guide right here, kind of on the right side of the needle, which right away, this should tell you when you see a thread guide this close to the needle, that little thread guide right there. That's going to give you a good indication with that thread guide, whether it's on the left or on the right. That'll tell you that in all likelihood, you're going to be threading from that direction through the needle. So in this instance, we're going to be threading from right to left through the needle once we get down to that point on this 1591. Also, the other thing you need to know, and you need to get this right, and it's really easy to mess up. A lot of the Class 15s are going to follow the tradition of Singer in putting the flat side to the right towards the pillar, right? On this 1591, this very early 1591 from the early 1930s, you're going to be putting the flat side of that needle to the left, not to the right. So when you set that needle on a machine like this, make sure that that flat side, which is also the same side as the scarf, that indentation into the needle that allows that hook to move closely to the needle and grab that thread, that flat side needs to face to the left on this machine. The other thing a little bit different is on a lot of the Class 15s, when you set that bobbin into the bobbin case, you're going to hold the bobbin case, say, in your left hand. You're going to hold the bobbin in your right hand. And when you slide that bobbin into the bobbin case, the thread, in a lot of instances with the Class 15s, will be coming underneath the bottom, just like on the Japanese Class 15 clone machines as well. Not the case on this Singer 1591 from the early 1930s, you're going to have that thread coming over the top, which means as it's dispensing in the sewing process, that bobbin in the case right in there is going to be turning clockwise, where most of the Japanese clone machines that are class 15 style will be turning counterclockwise. So really pay attention to that. Get the bobbin inserted correctly so that it's going to be turning clockwise. Get that flat side of the needle facing to the left, not the right, and then make sure you thread this machine from right to left. If you do those things, you're going to be set up for success. So, yeah, do that. Do that. Yeah. Well, that is the general threading and needle orientation, bobbin placement, blah, 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 for this machine. The other thing is to have an idea of where your upper tension is set. You got a little window right here. I'll see if I can zoom in on it. You got a little window right there, and that little metal band, the further it goes towards the plus, the more upper tension you have set. You can see those little hash marks. So we've got the upper tension turned up fairly high right now, and we make some additional adjustments on it. But that's how you read where your upper tension is set on this particular upper tension design on this early 1930s 1591. A lot of you know already, this is our presser foot pressure. It has a nice little swab of material in there for maintaining and wicking moisture into that presser bar. Same thing on the needle bar tower as well. We've got a little piece of wicking material that you can dampen, and it'll continue to lubricate these two regions without having to be worrisome about it. Also, other lube points across the top of the machine. We've got these three right over here. We have one right over here, kind of tucked away underneath the spool pin. Another one to the right of it. And then finally, we've got a teeny tiny little one right here at the launching point of the main shaft that's also critical to lubricate as well. And most of you know you also need to periodically lubricate your bobbin winder. There's a little hole right there. You put a tiny little drop of oil in there. You don't want to put too much because that oil is going to work its way across that shaft towards the bobbin winding tire, and it'll wick its way out onto the tire and make it a slippery mess. So don't put too much oil in that hole when you lubricate it. Just a tiny little drop, and then maybe even take a Q-tip swab and just swab around here in case any of that works its way down so it doesn't get onto your bobbin winding tire. Okay? Yeah. We also have a service point on the back as well. You can see our light is attached to that. I also re-insulated Olivia's light as well because the wiring and the coating was getting a little bit more rigid, a little bit more brittle, so I wanted to protect it and protect her. So there you go. But you can just open this up pretty easily, and there's a pitman arm and other critical points to service in there as well. There's our potted motor back there, and if you didn't know, the potted motors for the 1591 introduced in 1932, and also the 201-2 introduced in 1935, those two machines came with either a 0.5 or a 0.6 amp motor. And this particular one that belongs to Olivia, that came from her husband's grandmother, grandmas or grandmas, came from Grandma, we'll just say came from Grandma Chris, I believe. This one has a 0.6 amp. And I talked about that while these were innovative in their potted motor design, the power output and everything, just how beautifully they operate, the predecessor to this design was actually the Singer 101, specifically the 101-4, and that came with even a bigger motor on the back of the machine. If anyone knows the size of that motor that was on the original 101-4, and there were a number of other dashes as well, subclasses of that model, but if anyone knows the size of that potted motor that was on that earlier version of this, the 101, type that in the live chat, and we can go ahead and have that as a knowledge base as well. Yeah. All right, I think I got that locked in place pretty well, hopefully. All of a sudden you see the floor coming at you at rapid speed. You're like, oh, he didn't do it right. Didn't do it right. And I talked about the needle, the flat side going to the left. Along with that, I'll tell you that we're operating today with a Schmetz 9014 needle, 9014, kind of a mid-range needle. And most of you know that's kind of my go-to needle. And because I've featured it since the very beginning of this channel, and a lot of you have helped to promote it as well, this is, by all measurements, the most popular needle that Schmetz offers. And I would like to believe that we contributed to that through this channel and through our family, the Cow Country family. So we'll be sewing with a 9014 Universal and trying to go through a wide variety of different materials during this this premiere. Okay? All right. And again, the machine is cleaned up very, very nicely. I'll be posting, or already have posted, numerous pictures of the process I took this machine through. So you'll want to check those out on Facebook as well, and just gain an appreciation for the depth of service that I do. No one in the world that I know goes to the depth on a vintage machine that I do, and it really makes all the difference in the world in that machine being able to do things that other machines like it just simply can't accomplish. So I'll just show you some of the sew-offs I prepared. I've done some of this outdoor carpet material. Let's see, come out a little bit wider. Got some of this outdoor carpet material that we'll try stitching with this machine. Some 100% cotton with quilt batting. Some of this shiny 100% polyester stuff that's used during the holidays for all kinds of different fun projects. We also have this polyester here that's made to look like fleece, but it's not. It's fake fleece, kind of like fake fur. And this fake fleece is also a bit challenging just because of the density and the fluff of the way they processed it. But we'll be going through a couple layers of that as well. And we also have this upholstery material. I've done this several times on recent premieres, live streams. It's about 55% recycled nylon, I believe, and then also 45% polyester. Let me just double check my little card here to make sure I'm getting that right. I can find my card. Where did I put it? Yeah, I was right. Hey, I was right. Yeah, 55% recycled nylon. I hope that's what I said. I might have said vinyl. It's 55% recycled nylon, 45% polyester, and it's used in upholstery applications. So nylon and polyester, especially recycled nylon, this is challenging stuff to get through because of how it interacts with the needle. It tends to try to promote skip stitches, distortion of stitching, etc. So we'll see how Olivia's 1591 handles that challenge. And then we've got some additional 100% cotton right here. We'll be going through probably 8 layers of that. We've got we've got this heavy grade denim, which still has a little bit of thread stuck in it. Let me see if I can pull that out. We got some of this heavy grade denim. And this is tough stuff. It's not a lightweight or a stretchy denim. Really, really hardcore stuff. And Susie and I were out at a Goodwill and came across this and right away zeroed in on it because we wanted to have a material that would truly challenge the machine. We'll probably do 6 to 8 layers of this as well. And then we've got some of this veg tan leather. I've got 2 layers of this. And then finally, if we have enough time, we'll sew in a circle to the 1812 Overture and sew some of this veg tan leather as well. And last but not least, we've got some of this Amazon Prime packing parchment that's used for protecting the stuff that they ship to you. And parchment paper is a tough thing for a machine to get through. Paper is very dense, it's very compacted, and we'll probably be doing around 12 to 14 layers of this as well. So I think I've set up a good series of sew-offs to challenge this 1591 after it's gone through all the workshop magic, and we're going to put it to the test today. No slack for Granny. We're going to push Granny's machine to the limits and hopefully get some great results. And I just realized that this is veg tan leather, but it's got a different backing on it than the other veg tan leather I was using. This will be interesting to see how the machine handles this as well. Yeah, so we'll just kind of jump into this. I'll put on a little bit of music. Maybe we'll start with this upholstery material, and then we'll launch into some of the other materials after that. I'll kind of fold this in half and see if I can get it into place. And the 1591 and most of the Class 15 machines have good presser foot clearance. So if you're looking to use it as a quilting machine or other sew-offs that are going to require a little bit more clearance, you should be in pretty good shape on this machine. This Class 15, unlike some of the Japanese Class 15s, does not have a quick release on the top of the presser foot control. So on this one, you've got a little hyperextension, but that's all the clearance you're going to get out of this machine. So, like I said, when the Japanese took those designs and patents after World War II as an effort to contribute to rebuilding their economy, there were some innovations that they introduced to machines like their Class 15s that actually were a step up than what Singer had offered previously. So really kind of a hats off to them. They didn't just take what Singer gave them and say, okay, this is going to be it. They also stepped it up and improved on a number of the features and the functions of the machine, which I think is fabulous. Okay, so let me see. Let me get that take-up arm all the way up. We're up. We'll put on a little bit of music, but not right now. I want you to listen to this 1591 do its thing through these two layers of this 55% recycled nylon and 45% polyester. It's upholstery material. I could have just said that, but I didn't. So here we go. We're going to be sewing these two layers of upholstery material with Olivia's Class 15-91. And we didn't specifically mention it. I did mention that this is the little brother of the 201-2, but its hook system is different. So if you know what kind of hook system this 1591 has, type it in the live chat, and that will immediately contrast it for anyone viewing to know that the 201-2 is going to have the opposite type of hook system as the 1591, right? Yeah, all right, let's give this a go, see how we do. All right, here we go. I love the dum, 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 dum. It's just a machine that says, I am going to get this done. I'm going to get this done. Yeah. So upholstery material, most of you know, right, when you think of upholstery type materials, they're designed to be durable, long-lasting. They're designed to be rough and tough and stand up against a lot of traffic. So that should tell you right away that a material like this is going to, it's going to test a machine, even a machine like this that has that potted motor. And if you didn't know it, a machine like this does not have a belt. It does not have a belt. It has a gear-to-gear connection between the motor output and the balance wheel. They interlace with a worm-type gear design, and so you have the power being pushed from the motor directly to that other gear on the balance wheel. The advantage of that is its positive traction. It gives you a drive and a delivery of power unlike any machine that's going to be belt driven. You just don't lose anything in the process, really. I mean, you can lose it going down the machine if the machine is not optimized, but at least the power transfer from the motor to the balance wheel connected to that main shaft, you're going to get a really nice burst, especially from this 1591, which is more in the realm of being scaled as a 3/4 size machine, not a full size machine. So it's going to be a little bit shorter, a little bit more compact than its big brother, the 201-2. And a lot of people like that, especially if they're in a smaller space. If they're in an apartment, it doesn't take up as much space, and you still get the same delivery of that power because it's operating with the same motor. It's got the same motor, either a 0.5 or a 0.6 amp. All right, so let's take a look at this stitching. I'm going to see if I can show it to you on camera. And I'm seeing already that our lock stitch might be just a little bit on the light side. That's easy enough to fix. But we'll take a look at the stitching and then kind of go from there. Put on a little bit of music so you can listen to something other than just my voice. Yeah. And we'll put on a song called Missing Persons. Missing Persons, whatever that means. Turn the volume down. All right, let me look at the camera as best as I can. We'll get a look at these stitches. Some beautiful stitching. See if I can get even closer. Spacing, the formation of the stitching is just absolutely spot on. And again, we're dealing with a nylon polyester blend with more recycled nylon than polyester. Again, it's prone to create skip stitching, distortion of stitching. We just don't see that here. A beautiful, beautiful, beautiful top stitch through this material. We'll go like this as well. See if we can take a look at it that way. Lovely, lovely stitching. Now when we go to the other side and look at the lock stitch, we're going to see an opportunity. And the opportunity is, as I start to turn it, is that we were a little bit underserved as far as that upper tension pulling this stitch taut. It's done a fairly good job, but we could do better. So take a close look at that. I'll pull it apart a little bit as well, see if I can do that. We got some good looking stitching, but we can make it even better. Lovely, lovely stitching. And again, nylon, that's a tricky material to sew. Very, very tricky. And you can see the evidence, that little loop right there is on the class 15 style machines that have that oscillating hook. Because it rocks back and forth like a pendulum, it demands more thread pull at the launch. So holding onto that thread can eliminate this. This is a real small example of what can happen if you don't hold those threads just for a microsecond as you launch. We turn it like this as well and look at that stitching. Good stitching, but we can make it even better by bumping up that upper tension just slightly. Yeah, so that's our upholstery sew-off with our nylon and polyester blend. I'm going to throw that in the back. Beautiful stitching. And I think we will now move into some typical quilters type sewing. We've got our 2 layers of cotton. We've got our quilt batting in between. And now we're going to see if we can stitch down this. And yeah, and I have no idea why I have such a big piece. I don't need this much space. Even if I demonstrate different stitch lengths, you know, I probably could stop right about there, but that'll give Olivia a little bit more space to play around once the machine is set back up in the table again with that knee controller. Okay, so let's get this set up, get that take-up arm all the way up. And I keep talking about this take-up arm. If you don't know about that, let me see if I can change the camera just a little bit. You don't know about this take-up arm here that's on the front of this class 15-91. You bring it to the highest point, and then it's just in the process of beginning a downstroke when you launch, ideally. And I realize that sometimes you've got to launch with the needle down. Just realize that the machine will be more freed up mechanically when you can launch with that take-up arm at the highest point, at least in the beginning of your project as you're launching into it, etc. And you noticed as well, I know you did because you're really smart, you noticed that the upper tension that I keep referring to, it's not on the front of the machine. It's on the faceplate. If anyone remembers, why did Singer migrate the upper tension unit from the front to the side of the machine by the faceplate? If anyone remembers that, type that into the live chat if you would, as far as what was their rationale in doing that. Why did they do it? Yeah. All right. Let's get a little bit closer to the material, and let's try this 100% cotton with this quilt batting in between. And we're not truly demonstrating what a quilter would do. Number one, because I don't have the skill of a quilter. Ha ha! Also because we're sewing with a little bit larger needle. The most common needle that most quilters are going to be using is an 80-12, and we're using a 90-14. So it's just a little bit larger. That's not to say there aren't quilters that use a 90-14. They certainly do. But I think it's more common practice to use an 80-12. All right, so let's go down this 100% cotton. We'll lay down some stitching. And I've got the stitch length set on the larger stitch right now, so we should be getting around 6 to 7 stitches per inch. I'll probably do another row next to it and kind of decline it down with smaller stitching. And then we'll jump into some of these other materials as well. And I'm going to be a good boy and hold my threads this time. And let's let me just back this up a little bit. And we'll see if we can buzz down this 100% cotton, 2 layers of that with this quilt batting. It's going to be characteristic of a lot of quilts, isn't it? All right, here we go. I'm going to really slow it down too. There we go. Nice and slow, nice and easy. Yeah. And it's inevitable as you're sewing a wide field of materials, there may be certain materials that require a little bit of a tension adjustment. They might require just a little bit of a tension adjustment. And along with the tension adjustment, there's also some other adjustments that I didn't show on the upper tension area that might be beneficial. I should probably cover those as well. Let's see, let's tighten that up a little bit. All right, let's take a look at this stitching. And I can see on this we've got a decent looking lock stitch, but again, I'm always towards trying to improve it, so I think we could improve this even a little bit more. But again, the intimacy of the machine that Olivia will develop with this 1591 that belonged to her husband's grandmother, to Grandma, is going to be well beyond what I can do in this brief presentation of it. All right, so let's go across. We're looking at that top stitch first. And I think you would agree that that top stitch is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful top stitch. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch is absolutely spot on. I'm going to shift my chair over just a little bit so I can get in a more comfortable position to hold this a little bit more steady, hopefully. Yeah, let's go like this, see if the camera wants to focus on it like that now. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful stitch alignment, stitch presentation. I say the glory of the stitch. Very, very nice. Go like this one more time. I've got a real awkward position in this chair right now, so if I seem a little bit shaky, that's why. So beautiful sewing, again, a layer of quilt batting, 2 layers of cotton, some beautiful top stitching. Now let's flip it over and look at that lock stitch. Come out just a little bit here. Turn it around. Look at that lock stitch now. We'll kind of go along here and take a look at the stitching on there. And again, I think it's good looking stitching, but we could probably snug it up even a little bit more. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can pull it back a little bit so you get a better view of it. Some good looking stitching, but again, a little bit of fine tuning I think would benefit this lock stitch. Maybe bump that upper tension up just a little bit. But some real good looking stitching. Really, really quite lovely. Yeah. So our lock stitching, our top stitching, and you may have noticed as I was holding it here, let me hold it still again. You may have noticed on the back side where that lock stitch is, we've got a little bit of a puckering. And that's because the presser foot pressure is turned up probably a little bit too high right now for this 100% cotton. I've got it cranked up a little bit more for some of those heavier sew-offs like the denim and the leather that's going to be coming up, but it's a little bit too heavy. So don't be afraid to adjust that presser foot pressure back a little bit as you're going through various sew-offs and different projects where you're changing material types. All right, so let me get this set up. I'll make a slight adjustment on that upper tension before we do this next row. A slight adjustment up. And now we're going to set our stitch length. Our stitch length again, I'm going to stand up so it's easier. I don't have to do it reaching backwards towards the camera. Our stitch length adjuster is going to be right over here. And I'll take my hand off of there for a second. Right now we're all the way at the bottom, which is going to give us the longest stitch. As we begin to move it up, that stitch gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter to a point where we're going to be right around 30 stitches per inch. And if we go past a certain midpoint, we're then going to be sewing in reverse as we move into this realm here. And if you want to set a certain stop point or a range on this, you can loosen this little thumb screw and rotate this up, and it'll actually set boundaries of how far this can move if you're concerned about it somehow moving out of position as you're sewing. It's kind of a backup plan, a safeguard to ensure that your stitch length doesn't change in the process of sewing. Well, let's move this up a little bit. We'll move it right about up to there. We'll do another stitch line, and then off camera I'll move it a little bit further and we'll get that stitch length down there quite a ways. Get that down there quite a ways. Yeah, you can see that stitching even from here on that 100% cotton with quilt batting. Lovely, lovely, lovely stitching. Beautiful stitching. All right. So this is not going to be dramatically short, but it's going to be a little bit shorter, probably around 12 stitches per inch, something like that. So let's give this a go, and we will do one more stitch row after this. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Very nice. Very, very nice. And I'm glad I made that little adjustment on the upper tension because as you sew shorter and shorter and shorter, and you get more stitches per inch, the upper tension is even more of a factor because it's completing that stitch cycle and generating more stitches in a smaller amount of space. So the tension factor really has to be spot on to maintain good quality. We'll maybe just adjust it a little bit shorter, and then I'll let you look at these stitches. Just a little bit shorter, not too much. We don't want to have to get the magnifying glass out, you know what I mean? All right, we'll get this back into position. Off camera, I'm going over by that stitch length control. I'm going to move it up a little bit higher. And we'll do one more row of stitching with this 1591 that belongs to Olivia and belonged to Olivia's grandmother, Olivia's husband's grandmother. Grandmas are grandmas. I'm going to say it again. Ah, yeah, they are. They belong to everybody, even people in the community. It's like, hey, grandma. Yeah, all right. Let's give this a go and see what we think. This will be our last stitch row, 100% cotton 2 layers with quilt batting. All right, here we go. Yeah, very nice. Ooh, that's teeny tiny. That's teeny tiny, and I didn't do a real good job. You'll see on the back, on this last stitch row, I didn't do a super job of holding that thread, and so we got a little bit of a uh-oh, the needle caught the thread type thing going on, so that's okay. We're sewing with the family here. We're just having a little bit of fun, so. Okay, so let's check this out. We'll look at all 3 of these rows, all 3 of these columns, and we'll move on. More sew-offs, right? More sew-offs. All right, so here is our top stitching. See if I can get that camera to focus on that. And it's not wanting to focus yet. Let's see what happens. There's my jacket. Come on. All right, let me shift my chair a little bit. How's that? Is the camera like that? Come out a little bit more. Aha! All of a sudden we see nothing, and all of a sudden it goes, hey, here I am, here I am. So we've already seen that very top row around 6 to 7 stitches per inch, and we made it shorter, probably around 12 stitches per inch, and then that very bottom row we're probably right around 15, almost 20 stitches per inch. So let's take a look at that going across. Some really, really lovely stitching. And remember, we're sewing with a 90-14 needle, so we don't have the benefits of a more petite needle that's going to allow us to get down into these smaller stitch length scales and maintain even more definition. We're dealing with kind of a mid-range harpoon needle, sort of. And so we could get even better clarity of stitch if we were using an 80-14 or maybe even a 75-11 embroidery type needle would be really quite nice when you get into that smaller range, right? Yeah, beautiful stitching. Take a look at it like this as well. You got to see me. I'm like leaning back on the table almost, trying to get a place where I can support my back and show you the stitching at the same time. I'm sacrificing for the family, folks. Sacrificing for the family. Yeah, beautiful stitching. Very, very nice. Very nice. So top stitching again, I think quite spectacular. Definitely page 34 plus type stitching, even on that real small scale. Now we're going to turn it around and kind of look at that lock stitching. And again, I made a little bit of adjustment on that upper tension, which was a good idea. There's my little finagle at the beginning there. Just ignore that. Go across here. Yeah, that middle row and the bottom row are just spot on. That top row was a little bit less defined because we didn't have enough upper tension when we sewed that real long stitch. But we made that adjustment, and look at that middle row and that bottom row, just absolutely as it should be. Absolutely as it should be. Very, very nice. We'll go like this, see if we can do it that way as well. Kind of take a peek at that. Yeah, tension is so important when it comes to the clarity of stitch. Don't you agree? The first time we sewed that one on the far, I don't know what that would be on the camera, far right I guess it is, our tension was just a wee bit off. And then we adjusted it for that shorter row of stitching and just nailed it. Just absolutely nailed it. Beautiful stitching. All right, I'm going to sit up. I'm going to throw my back out here. Yeah. Poor camera's going out right now. I don't know what I'm focusing on. I have no idea. There we go. All right. So I will send the rest of this cotton back with Grandma's machine when I drop this back off for Olivia. And then she can have a little bit of fun stitching off on some of this extra cotton and quilt batting. So I'll throw that in the back. So we haven't done a ton of sew-offs yet. We got to do a lot more, don't we? Got to do a lot more. Let me get that take-up arm all the way up. There we go. And now let's launch into, we might as well sew this carpeting, huh? We might as well sew this carpeting. And what I think I'm going to do to make it a little bit easier for us to see it, this is an outdoor type carpeting. It's the same stuff I have on the workbench surface right now that Susie picked up, I believe at Menards or something like that. So it's real hardcore stuff. It's got obviously like a nylon running through it as well. So it's going to create a little bit of a havoc when it comes to trying to maintain stitch quality. But we're going to give it a go. We'll see how we do with it. And I think I'll put these back to back so we've got that flat side to see the stitching maybe a little bit better, hopefully. And assuming I can actually get this underneath the presser foot, because look at how thick that stuff is. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's probably, Jiminy Cricket's probably about 12 to 14 millimeters thick. So we'll see. I don't know if I can get two underneath here. I thought I would give it a try, but if I can't, then I can't. We'll see if I can. Yeah, it's going to be real snug. The problem when you try to fit something underneath the presser foot, I've gotten it into position, but it's really, really tight in there, is going to be a feed factor. So what you might observe, even though our presser foot pressure is cranked way up, what you might observe is a stubbiness to the stitch. So I'm going to move the stitch length back down to full length, but we're not going to get 6 to 7 stitches per inch. We're probably going to get around 8 or 9 stitches per inch because of how thick this stuff is. And also we've got a slippery surface as well going over the top of those feed dogs. But we're going to give it a try. Give it a try. Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit too thick. Maybe what I should, let me do this. Maybe what I should do is I'll do a single layer and then we'll see if we can add that second layer to it. I'll just kind of sew off to the left a little bit here. But yeah, if you pack it too tight underneath there, you're going to have issues with feed. You know, just anticipate that. And you don't want to be pushing or pulling the material either. That's never good for the needle or for the machine. All right, so let's give this a go. We're going to do a single layer of this outdoor carpeting, and then we'll see if we're able to add that second layer. I don't know if we'll be able to or not. We'll see. Okay, so here we go. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to stick with one layer. I don't think it's going to give us a good outcome if we try to jam a second layer underneath there. This by itself is probably 5 to 7 millimeters. So I think we'll hold off. We'll save this one for another day, and we'll just go with a single layer of outdoor carpeting. I think that's a really good test anyway. Outdoor carpeting is built very, very sturdy, very strong. And I think that'll be enough of a test to see what we think of the stitching. And I'll have to pull this back just a little bit because of the material. See if we can get this even to be picked up by the camera. There we go. So I'm going to start over here. I'll do my best. Kind of pull it back, make those stitches pop a little bit. Those are gorgeous stitches, folks. Look at those. And again, this is an outdoor carpeting. You know what our outdoor carpeting is? I mean, it is built incredibly tough. And yet Olivia's machine just went through this like it was butter. A hot knife through butter. So we'll kind of go across here. Look at these top stitches. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Drop dead gorgeous all the way across. And again, you know, this is going to have a nylon or a vinyl type backing, something like that. Probably vinyl. No skip stitching. The stitching is just as it should be. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Look at that. Absolutely spectacular. So let's turn it over. Look at that lock stitch as well. Let me turn it around like this. Take a look at that lock stitching. Lock stitching is always harder to generate for a machine because that needle has to sweep down through this dense material and pull that thread back up. That's a tough process, even for a 9014 Schmetz needle. I don't think I have to pull it back. I'm just going to go across and show it to you. I don't think I have to pull it back really. Very, very nice stitching. And again, no skip stitching, which could easily happen with this type of material. I mean, we're sewing carpeting, folks. We're sewing carpeting. Let's see if we can take a peek at it this way as well. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Wow. I like looking at it sideways like this too. It's kind of cool. Very, very nice. So far we've sewn, I think I just kicked the camera, didn't I? I kicked the bucket. So far we've sewn a carpeting material. We've sewn 100% cotton with quilt batting. We've done that nylon polyester blend that upholstery material. And I'm trying to look over there and see what else we sewed. Go right over here, lock the camera in place. So we've already sewn what I would consider to be a fairly diverse field of materials. But we're going to be going further, obviously. Let's shift over to this fake fleece now. This fake fleece is 100% polyester, but it's manufactured and made in a way that it almost feels like cotton when you're holding it. It feels like a fleece cotton type material. It's real fluffy and puffy, and so right away we know that it's going to create a little bit of a challenge for us in stitching it. In the past we've done 2 layers of this. Maybe we should try, we'll do 2 layers and then we'll see if we can step it up to 4 layers, just to say we did it. Alright, so I'm going to put this, let's see here, yeah, I'll orientate it like that. Put this like that, we'll stitch down this way, then we'll see if we can fold it over and we'll go up to 4 layers. And see how Olivia's machine that belonged to her grandmother handles that. Alright, let me hold on to this thread, I'll do a better job hopefully. And we'll buzz down this and then we'll try going up to 4 layers of this wannabe fleece material, which is actually 100% polyester. Alright, here we go. Really kind of taking it slow on this stuff just because of the composition of it is just really, really tricky stuff. Tricky. Yeah, lovely sew off. Wow. Beautiful sew off. We'll see if we can take a peek at this and then we'll see if we can step it up to 4 layers. And again, Olivia will be operating her grandmother's machine with a knee control. It's not going to change how the machine performs. It's just going to change the way that she engages the machine. So we'll take a look at this. Here's our top stitching. We'll go up and look at the top stitching first, and then we'll pop over to the lock stitching. All right, here's our top stitching. And that's actually visible enough. I don't think I have to pull it back. I don't think I do. That's our top stitching. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Wow. Wow. This is tricky material to sew, folks. 100% polyester made to look like fleece. This is tricky stuff. Very, very nice. Very nice. Wow. Let's turn it over and look at the lock stitching. So our lock stitching now. This we might have to pull back a little bit. Let me see if I can move the chair over so I don't break my back. See if we pull this back a little bit and take a look at this closer. So this is our lock stitch on this, made to look like fleece, but it's actually 100% polyester. And folks, that is a gorgeous page 34 plus lock stitch as well. It's absolutely as it should be. Absolutely as it should be. Just absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Absolutely lovely. So beautiful lock stitch, beautiful top stitch through this. Oh, now it disappeared. Look at that. I gotta go, hey, where'd you go? Where'd you go? There you are. This fleece, made to look fleece material, is real tricky stuff to sew. And I'll send this extra portion back so Olivia can have fun playing around with that as well. All right, so we might as well stick with some polyester. We've already done polyester to made to look like fleece. Now we're going to sew some of this Christmassy stuff. This real shiny green. Wow, I need sunglasses type stuff that you might make a, who knows, a tree skirt or a stocking, or you could type in the live chat some of the other projects that you might use with this type of material that has that kind of holiday flavor and feeling to it. That's 100% polyester. Yeah, pretty stuff. All right, let's buzz down this, and then we'll move into some of the additional materials we have. I'm going to try to keep pushing us forward, because I think on the last one we ran out of time. I couldn't do the 1812 Overture. I'm hoping I can pull it off on this one. All right, so here we go. 100% polyester Christmas holiday type material. Here we go. All right, pull that over. Stuff is always challenging to see, so oops, I just knocked it off. Hopefully we'll be able to see it okay when we look at it close to the camera. Just because of the sheen of it, it kind of messes with the camera just a wee bit. All right, let's see if we can bring this up there and we'll take a look at this. I can tell you what I'm seeing here in person. It's absolutely spectacular, the stitching. All right, let me bring that up there. Bring it back up over here. Oh, there goes my chair. It's trying to roll away. Hold on. Yeah, the camera's having a heck of a time seeing it, isn't it? See that sheen? It kind of messes with the camera. Move it like this, maybe. Maybe that'll help. Move it further away. Let's move it further away. Yeah, it's going to be tough to see. Olivia will be able to see this in person. There we go. I'm going to put it kind of on an angle a little bit, see if that eliminates that reflection just a little bit, and we can see it maybe just a little bit better. It's really tough. Plus, I'm not getting exactly the right position because I've got the camera too close. Let me try it one more time. Let me shut that light off above. Hold on a second. Shut off that light above us. It's kind of glaring down on it. Maybe that'll help a little bit. All right, that may be the closest I can get right there. You can see the clarity of stitch. Let me move all the way across. Beautiful top stitching going all the way across that 100% polyester holiday type material. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. I'm going to turn it over and turn it over again. We'll look at that lock stitching on the back of this holiday Christmas type material. Poor camera's going, how the heck do I focus on this? How do I focus on this stuff? All right, there goes my back again. I was like, ah! All right, so beautiful job on this 100% polyester Christmas holiday type material as well. I'm going to turn my light back on again. Above. Got these great LED lights that Susie gave me to plug in above, but they create a little bit of a glare. They create just a little bit of a glare, and so see if I can angle them maybe a little bit too. Okay, so what I have left is I've got denim. We'll probably do denim next. I'm going to take a little bit of a quick little break and drink some tea. I didn't bring down a Diet Coke today. I don't know what's going on with me. I normally would bring down a Diet Coke, but I don't have that today. So let me zoom out a little bit. We'll kind of admire this beautiful machine while I get a quick drink, and then we'll zoom back in and take a look at that next sew-off that we're going to do on this amazing Singer 1591 from 1933. 1933. I love wetting my whistle. My whistle is wet now, so now we can keep going. Haha. All right, let's zoom back in. And I'm looking at the materials, thinking about probably doing denim now. I think we'll probably do denim next. Yeah, let's do denim next. And I don't remember which machine it was, but maybe on that Japanese clone that went back out to Oregon, or Oregon. The people in Oregon keep correcting me and saying, don't say it that way, that's not how you pronounce it. So I think we had done 8 layers on that Japanese clone. Let's see what we can figure out here. 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 layers is going to be a little bit tight underneath the presser foot, but I might try to pull it off. But again, even with the presser foot pressure cranked up, our stitch length is going to be suppressed a little bit because of the feed factor. Because we're dealing with so much denim here. I mean, we're dealing with denim that's probably 15, close to 15 millimeters thick. That's super, super thick stuff. You can see it in the camera there, I think. Yeah. Got to change my screen angle a little bit because you can see it, I can't see it. There we go. All right, we're going to give 8 layers a try. If it's too much, I don't think it will be, but if it's too much, we'll go back to 6 layers, which is what we typically do anyway. Yeah, that's real snug. That's real snug. But we're going to see. We'll see how the material feeds. We'll see. We had a walking foot or a roller foot, we could get even a better feed, but we don't have that. So, all right. So 8 layers. I'm going to reach up on top and crank down our presser foot pressure even more than it is already. See if we can get a little bit more, preserve a little bit more of that stitch length. Okay? All right, take-up arms all the way up. All right, I'm going to pause the music for a moment. I'm going to pause the music, and I want you to listen to the, I'll say the engine that could. The engine that could is what this 1591 is. The engine that could. I love the sound of that machine engaging. It's just like a dum 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 dum. So, all right, it's probably a horrible sound effect, but you know what I mean. All right, let's see how we do. Here we go. Oh, let me get my foot all the way on the little button. That would be the advantage of a knee controller in here. Is a lot easier to hit that knee control than to hit that little button. All right, here we go. Let's see how we do. I didn't sew real straight, but didn't do horrible. Didn't do super horrible, anyway. All right. And that's 8 layers of denim, folks. We'll look at the thickness a little bit more. 8 layers of denim, that's a serious sew-off. You notice that I did not give it a hand start? That's the sheer power of that 0.6 amp potted motor that I optimized. And also all the other rewiring of the machine as well just really gives that machine a huge advantage in being able to go through a sew-off like this with so much ease. So much ease. I think as I was visiting with Olivia, she was saying, you know, the power kind of, it's kind of there, but it fades and then it goes too fast, and regulating the speed is a little bit of a challenge. I think she's going to find that the machine performs with a lot more even gait now, and she's able to enjoy it more without having to try to run and catch up to it. So this is our top stitch. I'm going to see if I can bring that up to the camera first. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll look at that lock stitch next. As I knock the camera over, hopefully not. All right, so here's our top stitch. And again, you're going to notice a little bit of a compression of that stitch just because of the, I mean, look at what we sewed through. That's a lot of denim, folks. And it's not a lightweight denim either. So I'm trying to pull this back a little bit so you can really see that stitching. It's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, the glory of the stitch, as I love to say, is just absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. I could show it to you like this as well. Let me see if I can slide my backside over just a little bit and get more in line with the camera. And you see how nicely the camera focuses on this material that is flat. It doesn't have a sheen to it. Does not have that sheen like that green 100% polyester. It's awful stuff to try to get a camera to focus on it. So that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful top stitch through a lot of denim. Look at that. 8 layers of denim. Now we're going to turn it over slowly. We'll look at that lock stitch. Kind of flip it around here. This is our lock stitch now. See if I can pull that back a little bit as well. Absolutely gorgeous lock stitching. And again, we're not sewing with a denim needle. We're sewing with a universal needle by Schmetz, which is really designed more for knits, isn't it? We can talk to Jenny, our ambassador to needles, but I think she's going to confirm that, yeah, universals are really more geared for woven knit type material, not as much for a denim material like this, but they get the job done, don't they? They get the job done. Here's, again, I'll show you vertically if I'm able. Show you vertically those stitches as well. Let me see if camera can zoom in on there. Got to focus in. Absolutely gorgeous. I mean, like, wow, wow. Absolutely wow. And I'm seeing a little bit of over pulling on the part of the upper tension. So I'm looking at these stitches. You'll see the space in between the stitches where that needle is passing through. It's a little bit wider than it should be. That's telling me that the upper tension for these 8 layers of heavy grade denim might be turned up a little bit too high. So if we were going to be sewing denim all day long, we would probably back off that upper tension just slightly to get a more full lock stitch. But all in all, an excellent job going through that much denim. You can see that from that end. If I turn it over here, you see that end as well. Folks, that is the picture of heavy-duty sewing. And the 1591 is a great machine to do that. Great machine to do that because of that potted motor, that direct drive. So far, I'll just give you a quick little capstone summary, if you will. Let me see if I can get all this together. Come a little bit wider. So far we've done the 100% cotton with quilt batting. We did 3 different lines of stitches with that. Beautiful, beautiful stitch outcomes. We did this made to look like fleece material that's 100% polyester. Beautiful stitch outcome on that as well. We did this upholstery material, this red stuff, that is a combination of nylon and polyester. Higher concentration of recycled nylon, and it did a fabulous job with that as well. We did this outdoor carpeting. Yeah, I sewed carpeting. I really did. We did this outdoor carpeting, which is incredibly thick stuff, and got a great outcome of stitching on that as well. We did this shiny stuff. The camera hates it. It absolutely hates this stuff because it can't focus on it, but it's stitched beautifully on this 100% polyester Christmas holiday type material as well. And then finally we just did these 8 layers of heavy grade denim without a hand start, and the machine just mowed through it. So already we've got a sew off sandwich that I think really says that this machine has graduated from the workshop, but we're going to push her just a little bit further. Again, we're not going to cut any slack for Granny or Granny's machine that belongs to Olivia now. We're going to push this machine hard and heavy. And she is more than up to the task after going through the workshop magic. Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to do a little bit more cotton, I think. I've got this 100% cotton. It's a different color. We're going to go through, I think we typically do 8 layers of this, something like that. So we're going to do 8 layers of that. I've got 2 layers. There's 4. Practicing my folding skills. 4. 6 and 8. So that's what 8 layers. Let me zoom back in again. Too far. That's what 8 layers of cotton looks like. And I always say cotton is thought to be a real light sew off, easy peasy, right? But when you get up to 8 layers of cotton, that's a serious sew off. You're talking about a lot of material to go through and also maintain stitch quality. So we're going to do these 8 layers of cotton, and I might do 2 stitch rows on this. I'll do a longer stitch row and then maybe a shorter stitch row, just so we can compare how our tension is being maintained in going through that much material. But if you look at it from the side again, that's a thick sew off, folks. I don't know too many people that go through 8 layers of cotton, but they might. You never know. Certain types of quilts may have multiple layers of different types of cotton to create that tapestry of colors. Yeah. All right, so let's give this a go. And then we'll do one more stitch row. At least that's my plan, is do one more stitch row, a shorter stitch, and we can compare the two. All right, here we go. Give it a listen. Give this chug engine could Granny's machine from the 1930s a good listen, and just listen to that strength, that grit, that rigor that it has now after Workshop Magic. All right, here we go. All right, I took it slow intentionally. Took it slow intentionally. And I'm seeing we could have a little bit more upper tension for these 8 layers. Probably bump it up just a little bit. And the other option is if you start to get really high up on the range of your upper tension unit, turning it up, you can always go down to that bobbin case and back off that bobbin case just a little bit as well. I know a lot of you aren't comfortable doing that, but that certainly is an option. All right, so let's do a little bit shorter stitch next to this now. I'm going to go ahead and move that stitch length adjuster. Probably around, what is it, close to 12 stitches per inch, something like that. All right, let's give this a try. Take up arms all the way up, and here we go. Oh yeah, very nice. Very nice. And this premiere obviously was pre-recorded. And while this was being recorded, we had a threat of some pretty serious snow coming towards the Twin Cities here. So we'll see if once I get back up out of the lower level, whether or not we've got snow up to the windows or not. But finally the Twin Cities is getting some snow. It's been really kind of for anyone that depends on snow, like the snow removal people, unless they have people under a contract and just charging people even for not doing the work, which happens around here quite a bit. Shame, Minnesota snow removal people. You don't do it, don't charge for it, right? But also other recreational places that rely on snow. So, yeah. All right, let's take a look at this, and we'll look at that top stitch first, and then we'll move to the lock stitch. But again, I'm seeing that we probably have a little bit of a tension opportunity. So there's our top row. Beautiful top stitching. I don't know how we can make it better, to be honest with you. It's absolutely spectacular. Both rows, the longer stitch, 6 to 7 stitches per inch, and then the one on the bottom that's going to be around 10 to 12 stitches per inch. Absolutely bang on, absolutely as it should be. Let's go across. The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch, the glory of the stitch is just amazing. Don't you agree? I mean, that is stand up and cheer, dance on top of a table type stitching right there. Now, if you dance on a table, keep your balance. I don't want anybody to get hurt. All right? But that is absolutely drop dead gorgeous stitching. Let's see if I can shift the chair over just a little bit more. Look at it like this as well. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Definitely a page 34 plus. So we know as we're looking at this gorgeous top stitching that our bobbin case is doing an incredible job of maintaining tension to define that top stitch. That's what your bobbin case does. That's its job, right? Its job is to generate gorgeous stitching like that. Our upper tension's job is to generate gorgeous lock stitching and to work in concert with the bobbin case. They have a tug of war going back and forth, and they have to play nice. If they don't play nice, you're not going to get gorgeous stitching like this. We'll turn it around. And again, we're going through 8 layers of cotton. Look at that. Here's our lock stitching, also equally gorgeous. Probably would define it a little bit more by bumping that upper tension up just slightly, or bumping that bobbin case down just slightly. But all in all, we've got some very, very good looking lock stitching. Go across like this. Rotate it like this. We'll look at it vertically as well. Vertical presentation of the stitch sometimes really gives you a depth of appreciation for how beautiful that stitch is, doesn't it? Unbelievable. So that's 8 layers of cotton. And right now the camera's going, where do I focus? Where do I focus? 8 layers of cotton. And we're going to add that to our pile as well. So now we've got this growing pile back here. Here's all we've done on this premiere today. We did that 8 layers of denim. We did that slippery green polyester stuff. We did 8 layers of cotton. We did this nylon polyester upholstery blend. We did the outdoor carpeting. Where am I? Right there. We did the outdoor carpeting as well. Look at those stitches. Crazy. Who knew you could stitch carpeting? But there we did it. There we did it. We did this fake fleece material that's 100% polyester. Gorgeous stitching on that. And then last but not least, we did this these 2 layers of 100% cotton and generated gorgeous stitching. 3 columns of it, 3 rows, with that quilt batting in the middle. So we could wrap this up right now. We could, but we're not going to. We'll go a little bit further, a little bit more music, and then we'll jump into some more sewing. Actually, before we do more sewing, I'm going to do a quick box opening from our dear friend Paula Noel. Paula Noel. I just have to black out her address real quick. Haha! Maybe I'll put some painter's tape over it. There we go. I so much enjoy giving a spa day to a machine like this, you know, from the 1930s, right around 1933, and just restoring some of that beauty. It was so crusty, and I know Olivia doesn't take offense to that. It was so crusty and just looked gritty and yuck. And now it's Better Homes and Gardens, isn't it? Lovely, lovely machine. Granny had really, really good taste. Really good taste. All right, another little swig of tea, and let's open this package up from Paula Noel. And Paula's busy even in retirement, but she is considering coming back and returning to the leadership team, which would be awesome. Don't you agree? Yeah, if you think Paula coming back and potentially joining the leadership team again after a period of time away, type that into the live chat. So she watching right now, or maybe even in the live chat, can be encouraged to take that step. Yeah. All right, let's see what we have in here. I'll just peel all this back, huh? Oh, it's a little fan box. Paula, anticipating a hot summer coming up, got me a fan. How nice is that? Yeah. No. I know there's something else in here, something creative and fun, I would suspect. Thanks for the sewing machine grease, Paula. I mailed Paula a couple of these with my special grease, and her favorite color is apparently lavender. So I sent her some of the grease that I had actually originally made for Teresa and Tim. And it's not secondhand grease; it's beautiful grease. But that's we all share sometimes the same color love, don't we? There's a certain color that really is something we enjoy. So let's see what's in here. Let's see what's in here. No idea what it's going to be. Oh, it looks like a little So Very Merry keepsake sewing machine. But Paula may be pulling a trick on me. Maybe there's something else in here. Who knows? Paula's she's a quick mover, a savvy girl. So, or maybe exactly what the box says. Let's see what's inside. Well, that's exactly what's inside. Is a So Very Merry sewing machine that I can, it looks like I could probably put it on a shelf and it kind of hangs over. Can you all see that? Isn't that lovely? And some of you might be saying, wait a second, it's already January. It's January! But you know what? For me, I think it can be Christmas all year long, don't you? Isn't that quite spectacular? Yeah, it even has some filigree decaling on the back of it, doesn't it? Yeah. Really quite nice. Thank you, Paula. Now I have to figure out where to put it. Maybe I can put it on top of this light. Wouldn't that be dangerous? Ha ha! I'll figure out a place to put it. I'm putting it there just long enough to show you how it sets. And then I'll move it to a safer location so it doesn't crash. Where is it? Somewhere over here. Aha! There it is. Zoom in. Yeah, very nice. Isn't that pretty? Our cow country gals have such great taste. They're just classy girls, aren't they? They're the most classy girls in the world. Look at that. Just absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Paula. I really appreciate it. Very thoughtful and very, very lovely. And again, hopefully Paula will find it in her busy retirement schedule to circle back and be part of the live streams, premieres, and the leadership team. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Yeah. I'm going to set this back over here right now so that I don't destroy it. Yeah. There, that's a little safer. Just show you where I stuck it real quick. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, hey! And our other little friends that have come by way of Emma and Teresa and Tim. Back over there, you can just barely see it. There's a Christmas tree. Maybe if I go like that. Oh, there it is! Ha-ha! So yeah, this was a very barren space, a lovely space that Susie set up and gave me access to using, but it was barren. It was plain. It didn't have that pizzazz, that spark that the old workshop in Oconto had with all of our little friends and all the other cool things as a backdrop. And now we're starting to get a little bit more of that pizzazz. Even though this is temporary, it's short term, we still got to have a little pizzazz in the meantime. Don't you agree? It just can't be all dry and bleh. Who wants that? I don't want that. All right, let me tighten this up again. Let's go on to our next sew off. And I think we're probably going to do some of that Amazon Prime packing parchment paper. I think we'll do that. Let's do that. We might do that. We might not. I don't know. Come out a little bit wider because this is going to be super long. So here's some of our Amazon Prime packing paper parchment. We're starting with 2 layers. We're going to go to 4. We're going to go to 6. We're going to go to 8. We're going to go to 10. We're going to go to 12, and we're going to go to 14. I actually thought we might go higher than that, but 14 is pretty doggone good. And as you can see, if you look at it from this angle, 14 layers of Amazon Prime packing parchment paper. That's some pretty thick stuff. And now, because of the length of this sew off, I might be able to go a little bit faster. That would be fun, right? So you can really gain an appreciation for the strength and the speed of this machine as well. Yeah, the strength and speed. Why not? Strength and speed is a good thing. Yeah, it is. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna pause our beautiful classical music for just a moment. And yes, this is Mozart. If you can't hear it, I'll turn it up real quick. I love Mozart. I love Mozart. I really, truly do. All right, so here's our 14 layers of Amazon Prime packing parchment paper. Yes, a little bit of alliteration there. It's how we roll. All right, see if we can buzz down this, and I'll give it just a little bit more speed. I'm not going to go pedal to the metal, but I'll give it a little bit more speed so you can appreciate the strength of Granny's and now Olivia's Singer 1591 from the 1930s. All right, I'll do my best to stay on course. No guarantees. All right, here we go. I took my foot off the gas and I rolled a little bit beyond that, so oh well. Wow. Wow! Yeah, I should have bumped up that upper tension just a little bit more, or bumped that bobbin case down. We've got a good looking lock stitch, but I'm always looking to make it better, aren't you? That's kind of what our Kanai principle is all about. If anyone remembers, what does Kanai stand for? What does Kanai stand for? Type that into the live chat if you would be so kind. And just so you know, it's actually me. Haven't shown me the entire thing. Yeah, there I am, all bleached out from the bright LED lights. It's like a UFO alien craft coming down the land. All right, let's zoom in and take a look at this Amazon Prime packing paper, pickled peppers. You know what I mean. Y'all can do the alliteration. I'll just make the machines majestic and delight the customers, and the rest of you can just go, hey, that's really cool. But you can't do alliteration, Scott. You can't do it. So 14 layers of Amazon Prime packing paper parchment. We're using a 9014 Schmetz universal needle. And we're sewing with Coats & Clark from Coats & Clark's XP dual duty thread from Joann Fabrics, Joann's, as they call themselves now. Folks, how are you going to make that better? I just don't know how. That top stitch is exactly as it should be. Let's rotate it like this and look at it vertically as well. Try to, because it's super long. Folks, those are page 34 plus 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 stitches, aren't they? Those are page 34. I'm trying to get closer to the camera. Page 34 plus 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 stitches. They really are. Absolutely gorgeous. Kind of walk it up here as we go by. And if you've never sewn on a paper before, I know that Jenny, our ambassador to needles, says that she's been doing a little bit of that. Try it out. When you get your next Amazon Prime shipment and they've got some of this paper in there, put it to use. Make a project. Involve your kids. Involve your grandchildren. Involve the neighbor kids next door or a stranger, who knows? And be delighted at how majestic and gorgeous paper presents stitching. It blows you away when you see it for the first time. Just blows you away. And again, we're going through 14 layers of this stuff. It's like a book. We just sewed a book. So if we turn it around now, this is our top. I'm going to turn it around. We'll look at that lock stitch. And I love how that the needle coming through creates almost like a bullet hole. Isn't that cool? Creates like a little bullet hole through the paper. Look at that. Wow. No, we're not promoting violence. We're not. Just talking about what it looks like. Yeah. Absolutely gorgeous. The top stitching is cooler looking, I think. But the bottom is cool too, with that little tough displacement with that needle going boom through there like shebang! All right. So gorgeous. Here, turn it over again. Gorgeous top stitching. Really awesome lock stitching as well. 14 layers of Amazon Prime packing parchment paper. There it is. See it? Yeah. Look, kids, it's a toy. Yeah, really cool. Really, really cool. All right, so I'm going to add that to our pile in the back. We're going to put our Mozart back on, and we're going to sew a little bit of leather. I think we'll sew just a little bit of leather. Yeah, let's do that. And I won't even mess around. I think I'll just go right away to 2 layers of edge tan leather so we don't run out of time. I don't want to run out of time this time. Let's see if we can buzz down this. Put on a little bit of Mozart. You've heard the machine running and running and running. Now we're going to listen to some great classical music by Mozart. If you like classical music, enjoy. If you don't like classical music, enjoy. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting. It's not a cork background. It's not a cork background. It's some sort of other backing on the back of this veg tan leather. I don't know what it is, but it's interesting. We'll check it out. This is our, whoops, this is our top stitch. I'm kicking over the tripod. Absolutely gorgeous. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. Wow. Let's look at it like that too. That is page 34. Plus, plus, plus. Plus, 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 plus. Olivia, Granny's machine has come to life. Yes, it has. Beautiful, beautiful top stitching right there. Beautiful. Let's turn it around. Look at that lock stitching. See if I can get in there nice and close. Very nice. Very, very nice. Let's turn it like this. It's our lock stitching. Very, 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 very nice. Wow. Wow. So, our sew-off sandwich so far, let me set that right there. Our sew-off sandwich so far, Mozart is getting very excited here. Mozart is getting very excited. This is our sew-off sandwich so far. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. This is the way we do it at Cow Country. We don't mess around with like, oh, let's sew a little bit of cotton. Let's sew a little bit of cotton or something else like that. We go through everything. Everything. Yeah, we do. Amazon Prime paper, 14 layers of that. We go through cotton and quilt batting and wannabe fleece, but it's really polyester. And we go through Christmas stuff, like that green stuff right there that the camera hates. 8 layers of denim, heavy grade denim. We go through upholstery material that's a combination of nylon and polyester. We go through carpet. We sewed carpet. Yes, we did. Look at that. Carpet right there. Aha! And we go through 8 layers of 100% cotton. And finally, we go through this veg tan leather stuff that has a really cool backing. And we go through that as well. Yeah, we do. So all of this on this live stream premiere, pre-recorded, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. All right, let's do our 1812 overture. Hopefully we have enough camera space left to do it. Otherwise, I'll be really bummed. I'll be bummed. I'll be really, really bummed. Yeah. All right, let's get that down in place. Take up arm all the way up. Quick drink of tea. Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Ah! All right, let's see where we have it. 1812. No, I don't want to search the channel. I don't want to do that. No. I want to search right here for music. 1812. Overture. Something like that. Yes, there it is. There it is. Ha-ha! All right. It starts out real soft, just to tease us a little bit. It's teasing us. And now, let's zoom in on this machine of majesty. Grandma's machine, Granny's machine. We're gonna be sewing this veg tan leather without that really weird backing. Just good old leather. Let's do this. Let's see what we can do. Yeah. See if I don't sew my fingers. No sewing fingers today. No, 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 no. Aha! All right, we got a really good beginning here. A beautiful stitch row, circle thing going on. Now we're gonna get crazy. Get ready to be crazy with me, okay? If you're sitting down, stand up right now and do a little dance. Crank some music up. Well, just listen to this music. That's even better. Yeah, get ready for it. Get ready for it. Here we go. First of all, a little bit of tea. And no, that's not the way you empty a bobbin. You just don't. It's the way to have fun. It's the way to have fun. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I think it was Bill out of Minnesota that said, hey, that would make a really cool coaster for a mug. Yeah. That would make a nice coaster for a mug. Look at it. Wouldn't it? Yeah. Check out this stitching. Check out this stitching, folks. It's absolutely, are you kidding me? What? Let's check it out. And it's just fun, isn't it? It's just fun to do this. Look at that. That belongs in the Smithsonian, doesn't it? That should go in the Smithsonian. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at that stitch where you can really, really look at the clarity of that stitch. Look at that. Yeah. But like certain pictures, you can't get real close. You got to draw it back. You got to wait for it. You got to want it. Look at that. 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 Yeah. Absolutely majestic. We turn it over. Look at that lock stitch as well. Look at that lock stitch. Probably about 4 ounces of veg tan leather, about 4 ounces. Amazing, amazing, amazing! Ha-ha! I want to turn it down a little bit. Look at all that we accomplished in this premiere on Olivia's grandmother's machine. Amazing, crazy. We did this sew off right now, around and around and around and around and around and around veg tan leather. Check it out. Ha ha. Come on, camera. Come on, don't embarrass me. There we go. Yes, yes, that one right there. Uh-huh. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, then we also did this veg tan leather, 2 layers of it. Beautiful stitching. Beautiful stitching. There we go. Now we can see it. Ha-ha! We sewed carpet. Yeah, why not? We got to sew carpeting once in a while. Yeah. We sewed this upholstery material. We sewed this upholstery material. That's a combination of nylon and polyester. Beautiful stitching. 8 layers of heavy grade denim. 8 layers of heavy grade denim. There we go, right there. 8 layers of 100% cotton. All of this during this this premiere today. We sewed this fake fleece. That's 100% polyester as well. Let go, let go, let go. It's holding onto the other material. It's holding the other material hostage. There's our fleece material right there. I'm going to put that on the bottom, right next to our last sew off that we just did. There it is. Spin that around like that. Carpeting. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's growing, it's crazy. It's gonna hit the ceiling any second now. And then we also sewed this Christmas type material, this green stuff that the camera absolutely hates. I'm gonna put that down there. Put that down there. Yes. 100% cotton with this quilt batting in it as well. Put that right there. And last but not least, this Amazon Prime packing paper parchment. Come on, camera, you can do it. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can do it, camera. Come on. Where are you? There you are. Yeah, that's our lock. And there's our top stitch. Drop dead gorgeous! Ha-ha! Yeah! So during this premiere, we did all of this. You saw it. Yes, it's pre-recorded, but it's not edited. This is all you saw me sew. All of it on Granny's amazing 1930s 1591. Yeah, right there. All of it. Check it out. So if you're on one of those other YouTube channels where you do the fluff stuff, you do one little sew off. One little sew off. Look at the machine. It's ready to go. It's ready to go. No, it's not. You gotta run a machine through a sewing Olympics like this to be ready to go. Otherwise, you got window dressing, buddy. You got window dressing, gal. Do it this cow country way. Yeah, all of that, baby. All of that. Uh-huh. All right, well, thanks, Olivia, for the opportunity to have this fabulous machine in my temporary workshop and give greatness back to Granny's machine. And make sure you check out the pictures on Facebook so you can be like, holy mackerel, that was a dirty little girl. But not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah. All right, God bless everybody. Thank you to the leadership team for taking care of the family. And thank you to Paula for the beautiful ornament for Christmas and all the other cool things too. Yeah. All right, let's finish this up with the 1812 Overture and stay tuned for more greatness in the temporary workshop here in the Twin Cities where people drive really, really fast. Yeah, they do. Watch out! Ha-ha! All right, God bless. See ya. I might fast forward this a little bit so we can get to the really cool ending. All right, hold on. Here we go. Here we go. Ha-ha.